Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and my main man,
JC.
John Coleman.
Dio, what's poppin'?
Hey, fired up, ready to go.
Yeah, yes, you are.
Fired up,
Only took
ready
you 45
to
minutes to
go.
wind you up today, but, you know.
It took a while to get me wound up. Here's the deal. Just in Austin. Actually, we were outside of Austin in wine country. That's Austin, Texas, ATX. Spent one night in Austin, got to hang out with my wife, her college best friend, her husband, nice dinner, went out for drinks on 6th Street afterwards. Life was good. Crushed some Voodoo Donuts.
There you go.
Shout out to Voodoo Donuts. Love them, especially after midnight and a few cocktails. Then we go out to wine country where we rented like this massive home estate with 22 other people, all adults. They're my wife's cousins. It's called Cousin Palooza. It was the 4th edition. We do it every 2 years. We're already planning Cousin Palooza 5.0.
Jesus.
Yep. And mentally, I'm still not all there.
Just a lot to take in.
Dude, physically, I bounce right back.
Right.
This 42, almost 43-year-old body can bounce right back. But this 42, almost 43-year-old brain,
The fog.
dude, the fog is real.
Yes.
Yeah, I just feel lethargic. I feel like unmotivated.
I haven't had a drink since Sunday and just been guzzling water, and I feel great.
Good for you.
Right.
Yeah, good for you. I also get grumpy. Like, I get grumpy many Sundays. Like, Sunday about 4 p.m., if I'm not holding the couch down, I start getting grumpy because I have to prepare for the next week. Like, it's kind of like I'm going into a battle, and Monday is like the biggest war, or the biggest battle of the war. And when I'm coming off of vacation, same thing happens. So I come into work Tuesday, and yeah, you saw me. I was like, he's like, Dio, how you doing? I'm like,
Yep, and that's as much as we spoke that day.
that's so much. I can shut the door.
I'm good.
And here I am just trying to still like dig myself out of it. But did have a great time in Austin with my wife and our cousins and the whole entire Cousin Palooza crew, the O'Connor family. We represented South Dakota, Florida, Indiana, and Illinois. Those are the 4 states that were represented.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it was a good time. And I highly recommend people check out Dripping Springs or the Hill Country, which I believe is just west of Austin, Texas.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
But today we're not talking about Austin. We're not talking about Cousin Palooza. We're not talking about the fog.
Right.
We're going to talk a little bit about personal lines of credit,
Okay.
the freezing of credit cards, Wells Fargo. I mean, all this stuff is going on in the news. Like, I know we've had just recently Mark Teta. Mark crushed it with certified credit.
Shout out Mark Teta.
Shout out to Mark, getting lots of love from viewers and listeners, really digging that episode. We've had Credit Christie on not once but twice.
Shout out Credit Christie.
Shout out Credit Christie, and shout out to the listeners and viewers who want her back on.
Yeah, I know.
Like we have to look at maybe later this year, beginning of next year, bringing Christie back on, because not only is she a credit queen, but she's also a top producing mortgage loan originator. And she's a top producing mortgage loan originator who's only been in the business for like 5 years. Right. So like we did great episodes with Credit Christie. We've had Mark Teta. You and I have sat down together. We've talked about budgeting. Just last night, my best friend Brian, best friends like we're 2 years old, basically grew up together. He's in town from San Diego.
Okay.
And Brian and I used to hang out with his kind of cousin-in-law all the time. So me, Brian, and this guy's name is Robert all get together, have oysters. They had beer. I'm not drinking, just my water, but oysters and some shrimp, and we had a good time. And that led to us going back to Robert's house, and that led to us just getting caught up. And we were talking about personal finance.
Okay.
Like we were talking about Robert's business and Brian's business. Brian's a government employee, and Brian's going to be able to retire with a pension. And what does Brian want to do when he's retired? Like, we were having those types of conversations. And I know you and I have done plenty of episodes on things like budgeting and personal finance. We've even had on financial advisors.
Yeah.
Yep. We've had like the Rob Farragers of the world come on, the Todd Bryants of the world come on. But it's a topic that I'm learning just last night. You can't talk enough about it. Right? You just can't talk enough about personal finance issues, especially when you have relevant topics. And we have a relevant topic going on right now in our news cycle. And I feel bad because this bank gets picked on too many times, because I honestly don't think what they're doing is wrong, bad, but somehow it got caught up by the news media, and they're making it sound like, oh, Wells Fargo's evil devil. They are getting out of personal lines of credit.
Terrible, yeah.
Yeah. And we actually had viewers reach out, hey, Dio, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
Can you do an episode on it? And I'm like, I don't know if I can do a whole episode on it, but we can do a whole episode on credit in general, on personal lines of credit and what they are. Why would Wells Fargo be doing this? Is it common or uncommon? What is the true impact? And if this ever happens to you, what are your alternatives? Maybe why do you have a personal line of credit to begin with?
Facts.
You know? And then if you ever find yourself where you're in too much consumer debt, how can you potentially get out of it? What's the system that you can follow? And I'll be more than happy to share my story where I legitimately froze credit cards.
Chill.
Froze them. Filled up a big-ass Tupperware container of water. Threw the credit card inside of that. Put the lid on it and threw it in the freezer. I froze my credit cards.
Chill, bro. See what I think. Wah, wah.
Boom.
But before we get started on credit, and before you go on your diatribe about talking about where they can find us, I have a special gift here from a listener, follower, viewer, commenter on YouTube.
Oh, show me.
Shout out Sam.
Oh, what's up, Sam?
Sam, there you are. You sent this to us.
Oh, thank you, Sam. Am I going to open it right
Yeah,
here?
you're going to open it right now.
Hopefully it's not laced with
we
anthrax.
have no idea.
We like Sam. Sam's good to
Sam's
us.
good. He's good.
All right.
He comments. He's the guy, everyone, that kind of does the synopsis, like cliff
Well,
notes.
the synopsis is only on YouTube.
Yeah, only on
So
YouTube.
check this out. As I sit here and open it, so Sam is a YouTube viewer. We have a YouTube channel at the Loan Officer Podcast.
Right.
And we put each and every one of these episodes on YouTube. Now, if you watch this on YouTube, you're like, no shit. That's how I'm
I'm watching
consuming
you
the
right
material.
now, dummy.
But if you're watching us on YouTube, then you also need to know you can listen to us on Spotify, on Google Play, and on Apple Podcast at the Loan Officer Podcast.
Yep.
While you're doing these types of things, please do us a favor. Give us a 5-star review.
Yep.
Share it.
Yep.
Like it.
Yep.
And comment like crazy because we love the comments.
Yes.
The comments is what bring us a lot of the content,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Social media. We're on social media.
We are.
We're on social media. We're on Facebook. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. And we are on LinkedIn at the Loan Officer Podcast. If you ever want to find John Coleman, Google him. His first name is John. His last name is Coleman.
Yep.
Me, the best way to reach me is on LinkedIn. I am Dustin Owen on LinkedIn.
Nice segue.
All right.
This is
Drum
perfect.
roll, please.
Oh, Sam, swag, trade it back. Oh, look at the packaging on that. Are those long sleeve?
Wow.
Ooh.
All right. This one's a medium. Must be for you.
Thank you.
All right.
Look at this. Shout out Sam. Hey, by the way, fans, you can send us anything. You can find our address too. Large. Look at, even got the sizes right.
Yes. Look at this.
Damn, I feel like Christmas.
Look at this. I love it.
This is awesome. Wow. Now
And a hoodie.
Wow,
Check it out.
Dio's like, I want this. Why doesn't our swag look like this? Look at that. Form feeding too.
JC has to step up his game.
Shout out Sam. Look at that. Thank you. That's what's up, Sam.
Yeah. Sam, thank you so much.
That means a
Appreciate
lot.
you, bro.
That's
Thank
dope.
you.
That's dope.
All right.
All right, down to business.
Down to business. So, in the news, and I think Chris might have been one of our viewers who reached out to me about this.
All right.
But currently in the news, Wells Fargo is getting browbeat. I believe I'm gonna call it browbeat, but they announced that they're discontinuing consumer lines of credit. Like, so we think about all the different credit you can have. You have credit cards. You can have. We talk about HELOCs.
Yeah.
We talk about HELOans.
Yep.
Yep. Mortgages, car loans. Like a personal line of credit it's an unsecure, right? There's no collateral line of credit. So someone would go use that for a plethora of things, right? Some would use it for a small home improvement project. Some people would get a personal line of credit to maybe consolidate and pay off 2 credit cards. Various reasons why your transmission went in your truck and you need money, whatever the case may be. And they are discontinuing them.
Full stop.
Yeah, there's like, hey, we don't want to be in this space. We don't
Oh.
want to be in this product. So no one new can come and get a personal line of credit. Okay, cool. If you really need a personal line of credit, I have good news for you. There's hundreds of other banks out there. I'm sure a good percentage of them offer personal lines of credit. You can go to those banks and credit unions to find them.
Yeah. Bless you.
Right? Holy cow. But where Wells is getting browbeat is when this happens, let's say John Coleman, you had a line of credit. And by the way, it's a line of credit. It's not like it's a unsecured loan, right? Because we've talked on this podcast multiple times that you can have an open line of credit. You can also have an end loan, right? End loan is just, here's 10 grand, pay us back $300 a month for the next 48 months.
Yeah, done.
Yep, that's like a mortgage. But a line of credit is a lot like a credit card, a lot like a home equity loan or a home equity line of credit, a HELOC. A personal line of credit is one in which you may have a limit of $10,000. You may owe $3,000. You may owe $7,000. You may be maxed out. You may owe nothing. Right? Well, so if you owe nothing on this Wells Fargo personal line of credit and they close it, then they close it.
Yeah, so whatever.
Yeah, it truly is whatever. If anyone's like, oh, but now I have one less line of credit, in my opinion, you're overthinking it.
Yeah.
Like, you're overthinking it. All of us should always have 3 open lines of credit, of which one is active. 3. A car loan, a student loan, and a credit card. That's 3. A car loan, a mortgage, and a credit card. A mortgage, a American Express, and a Visa, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because maybe you don't want a car loan. Maybe like me, you buy into the Dave Ramsey. We don't buy brand new. We buy certified pre-owned and we pay cash. Or you buy into the Kirk Bar Young, which is, how cheap can you finance that for? And Kirk's whole philosophy, which I actually like and I follow, is maybe you still don't buy new, but you buy certified pre-owned. You save up enough cash that you could have paid cash for it, but you hand that cash over to Kirk because he's your financial advisor, and let Kirk put that into some kind of a Vanguard or BlackRock mutual fund, at which point it's earning you 6, 8, 12% interest, and you're only paying your bank or credit union 1.99 or 2.33%.
Right.
Like, that's what I buy into. But nonetheless, I got down a rabbit hole. I'm talking about a reason why someone could get upset that they closed their line of credit is, okay, yes, you are correct. You have one less open line of credit. But that's not going to negatively impact someone's credit, in my opinion. But the other part that is getting bashed in the news is, let's say, John Coleman, you had a $10,000 line of credit. You only owed $5,000 on it, or you only owed, let's say you owed $4,000 on it. $4,000. So your balance to limit ratio was good. We talk about that all the time. You want to have a good balance to limit ratio. But the minute that they close it, now you're capped at $4,000. Now you went from having a 40% balance to limit to now you're maxed out. And when something is maxed out, it could very well drop your credit score. But as Mark Teta taught us just last week or the week before, your credit score is evolving.
It's fluid. It moves.
It is very fluid. So if you don't need your credit score that day, does it really matter that your score got dinged by 60 points because now that line of credit shows as being maxed out? No, it doesn't really. So people shouldn't be freaking out that much. Now, they should be looking for alternatives if they're looking to finance something like a house and they need to get a mortgage. Like, that's something that, okay, hey, Wells Fargo let me know that if I have a personal line of credit with them, that they're going to close it, at which point, whatever my balance owing is, that's my max limit and that's my balance. And now I have to get it paid off. Not right away, by the way. They're not going to be able to mandate that, hey, this is closed and you have 30 days to pay us. No.
Once you get the balance down to zero on that, does it like close then?
Yes. Well, they close it and then it'll show up in your credit report as closed with a balance. And then as long as you continue to make on-time payments, life's all well and good, ladies and gentlemen. Like, the only thing that could truly hurt you is you have a trade line that maybe before wasn't maxed out, like in the John Coleman example. Your limit was $10,000, you only owed $4,000. The minute that they close that account, now they're going to show your limit being $4,000 and you owing $4,000. And then it's just a matter of you to have to continue making on-time payments, whatever the minimum monthly is, and then you'll work to get it paid off. But if you don't like that, you can go and try to find another line of credit, whether it's through Chase or Bank of America or Truist or
question for you
Citi or any of the other banks out there.
What is this? Was Wells Fargo an anomaly? Or was it the first domino to fall? And you think other entities?
I don't. I mean, I think it's just a business play. Like, I don't get why it's getting so much airtime, to be honest with you. It's just to me, it's a non-event. It's like, oh, okay. So you're no longer in the business of offering personal lines of credit. If I'm one of the million people who had a personal line of credit, That means if I really rely on this, then I need to go find another one.
Right. Did that even make up a large segment of their business portfolio?
No, tiny. And the only thing that I can think of being a negative would be, hey, someone's credit score temporarily could be impacted. Like the example I always think of is back in 2007, 2008, when the financial collapse was happening, then you had a lot of banks would look at people and be like, oh, you have a home equity line of credit attached to your home and your home's value is just plummeted. We're cutting that line. We're closing that line. We're suspending that line, especially because many of us, and I was in this boat, I had one, but I didn't draw on it. So I had a $50,000 home equity line of credit on my house because that was something my financial advisor advised me to do. Hey, Dustin, go ahead and open this line. You don't have to use it. And if you don't use it, you don't pay on it. But if and when life throws you a curveball, or if or when life presents you an opportunity that you need instant cash for, how nice would it be to have some of your home equity that you can tie into? Right. We've actually given that same advice to people in today's market. When we did an episode on HELOCs and home equity loans, it's advised that many people with a large amount of equity, just as a safeguard, should potentially look at having a home equity loan open.
Yeah, just leave it there.
Yeah, you don't have to owe anything on it. You don't have to use it. Just because you have it doesn't mean you use it. So what Wells Fargo is doing, I don't know why they're doing it. I don't really care why they're doing it. But the only negative impact would be temporarily, because now potentially someone who wasn't showing as quote-unquote maxed out can now be showed as maxed out. But the thought I had is I actually have a friend of mine who he puts his whole entire life on Discover. He loves Discover.
Give me those points.
Cash back, let's go, baby. And this dude is successful and frugal. So he's always stayed employed, he's always made good money, and he always underspends, right? Lives well below his means. But because he puts his entire life on that Discover card, it wasn't unknown for him to put $6,000 a month on his Discover card. Hey, that wasn't a big deal when his limit was $12,000.
Word.
Right? Limit's $12,000. He puts $5,000 a month on it. He pays it off every time. Has never paid interest once. But when 07, 08 hits, Discover pulls, a huge report, and they say everyone on this report, we're just going to cut their limit in half.
Damn, they don't even look.
I'm sure there's some kind of algorithm that they're using. So they cut it in half. Well, he still goes on his merry old way of putting $5,000 a month on his Discover, and every single month he pays it off in full. But he went from putting $5,000 a month on a credit card that has a $12,000 limit to now a $5,000 on a credit card that has a $6,000 limit. Now all of a sudden he watched his credit score drop by 70 points. Damn. He just he didn't do anything different. But as Mark Tedder told us, that was temporary. So here's what he had to do. Pick up the phone, call Discover and say, WTF, I need that back at $10,000 or $12,000, at which Discover would be like, well, we'll be more than happy to, but can you send us a pay stub? And maybe he sends them a pay stub, and they do. All right, all well and good. He calls Discover. Discover says, not going to do it. Not going to do it. And he's like, all right, cool. Go pound sand, and I'm going to call Capital One. I'm going to call American Express. Now all he has to do is find the next card with the second best point system and just, quit putting so much on one and then put it on two if that's the way that he wants to operate. Right. But no, what Wells Fargo is doing is not new. It's not uncommon. It's not detrimental. It is what it is. Honestly, if you ask yourself, why do you even have a personal line of credit?
Because.
Yeah, ask me what my interest rate is on my credit card.
What is your interest rate? Like 23 or something?
Don't know, don't care.
Yeah, I don't pay interest.
I don't pay interest.
I pay it off. It hurts me sometimes at the end of the month to pay it off, but I've never paid interest, so it always feels better.
Yeah, I go for who has the best points.
Yeah.
Who has the best points? Because I don't, so it's like the line of credit. I don't want to ask them, well, why do you have a line of credit? And was that the best thing for you? Because maybe the best thing for you was actually a home equity line of credit.
Okay.
A HELOC, if you're a homeowner, is going to operate just like a personal line, but it's going to have a better interest rate. And do you know why it has a better interest rate?
Because it's tied to something?
Because it's tied to your home.
Right.
Yeah, because there's collateral there. So if you're in this predicament, you have a couple easy outs. One of your easier outs would be, well, if I'm a homeowner, can I get a home equity line of credit? If you're not, Do you have a 401k that you can borrow against? Because at least when you borrow against your 401k, because maybe you took out a personal loan because something happened in life.
You need it for real.
And you need it for real. Check with your 401k provider, because your 401k provider in certain circumstances will let you borrow money against your 401k, and then you pay yourself back that interest.
Word?
Yeah.
I might just do that just to do that.
No, you don't want to do
No,
that.
no,
Just to do that. No.
no.
No, it's usually like something catastrophic
Yeah,
happens.
need-
Or, we do it a lot for people who are looking to buy a house and they need to raise capital for their down payment. They would borrow against.
So that brings up an interesting point. So some people might be in an instance where they took out a personal line of credit when they could have opened a HELOC and it might have just turned out better for them. Is that?
Yes. If you own a home and the home has equity and you need cash, I'm going to tell you, look to a HELOC or a cash out refinance first. And by the way, if you need cash because there's a good reason. Like, I need cash because the latest, greatest wakeboard boat just came out and I need to go buy it. Probably not. No, probably not going to do that. But yeah, so I would have a viewer reach out and kind of want me to do some commentary on that. Those are my thoughts in general about what's going on with Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo is cutting and eliminating their personal lines of credit, and there's definitely some people who are going to be impacted. I don't necessarily see the big hoopla besides the credit score for some people being impacted momentarily. But as Mark Tato told us, if you don't need your credit score that day, it doesn't really matter. And I believe I read in the article that I referenced, Wells Fargo is giving people a 60-day notice. So if you have one of these, you have 60 days to figure it out. Right? And I don't know if you can do this, but like some people could go get a cash advance on a credit card, and if it's a brand new credit card, you pay 0 interest for 12 months. So if you really had to, could you not? And then just make sure you put together a payment plan to get that thing paid off. Speaking of credit cards, you want to hear my story?
Yes.
This was crazy.
Okay.
Like, I look back now, I'm like, wow, I survived that. And then it's like, okay, well, let's share the story because maybe other people could survive that. So there's a time in my life, early 20s, like 22, 23, 24, where I moved from Orlando to Atlanta, just graduated college, and I cashed out of my 401k because I worked all through college, so I had a 401k already. I had some employee stock. I worked at the Home Depot. I had some employee stock, but I also had some, I bought myself my first computer. I bought a Gateway computer.
The Gateway Cow.
Oh, and it was like $3,500 back in 1997. And I think I got a loan for it through Gateway Financial at like 20% interest, and I only paid the interest.
Jesus.
For 4 years of college, I only paid the interest. So when I moved to Atlanta, I went ahead and cashed out my 401k, cashed out my stock. I paid off that $3,500. I put some money in the bank. I had to hire, buy a U-Haul, etc. But I get up there, and one thing led to another: a wedding, a honeymoon, an open bar, a kick-ass DJ, and found myself back in some credit card debt. So, not wanting to live a life in that type of credit card debt, we first became the king and queen of balance transfers, where I look at my current credit card, and let's say I owed $6,000. I would do a balance transfer onto a new credit card because that credit card was offering a promotion for a 0% first 12 months on all balance transfers.
Okay.
All right. So follow me here. I have credit card A. I owe $6,000 on credit card A. I do a balance transfer on a credit card B because credit card B tells me that they'll pay 0% on all balance transfers. Now, there's also all these small print, fine print, asterisks, but I have no intention of ever using
Said credit card.
the new credit card at all. And I don't want to find myself using this new credit card, or the credit card I just paid off. So what I do is I freeze both of them. Freeze both.
You call them up and say, hey, Cap, I want you to...
No. I get out some Tupperware or Ziploc bags, however you want to do it. I fill them with water. I drop the credit cards in each of them, and I put them in the freezer. Now, the one that has 0%, I know I have 12 months before I have to start paying interest. So I say, okay, well, I owe $6,000. 12 goes into 6,500 times. I had to make $500 a month payment on that credit card. I've been paid off in 12 months. And I'm not paying any interest. And what I'm not doing also is I'm not getting myself in a world of hurt by going out and overspending again. Because I, like many who find themselves in credit card debt, it's because we don't know how to budget. It's a discipline that we refuse to practice. And because we don't know how to budget, then we always overspend.
So when you froze your credit cards, when you went out to eat because you had to eat, would you like just pay cash for stuff?
Straight cash, homie.
I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, what we would do is on the first of every single month, we were working off this thing called a budget. Okay, so a budget is when you sit down
and B word
and you look at how much money have you spent over the past 60 days. Now, it may cause you to actually keep a journal because you don't know. So track all the money you're spending for the next month, or go back and look at all the money you spent for the previous 60 days and figure out where it's going. Create categories: groceries, gas, entertainment, babysitters, doctor's appointments, what have you. And that allows you to at least have an idea of every month, where's your money going. This much to rent, this much to cable, this much to Starbucks, like the whole kit and caboodle, like do it all. So what we would do is on the first, we would pull out enough cash to get us from the 1st to the 15th to cover those bills. Now, if it was rent, then we wouldn't put cash, but rent. But the things that we could pay cash, we paid cash for. So going out to dinner, and we had little envelopes, and this envelope would say gas. This envelope would say Starbucks. This envelope would say Friday date night.
Did it suck at first, but you got used to it?
It sucks, period.
It continued to suck, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, getting in any type of shape, right? Oh, I'm going to get into good physical shape. It's not always fun. I'm going to get in great mental health shape. It's not always fun, right? To get in good mental health shape, maybe I need to drink less alcohol, smoke less weed, get a good night's sleep, remove myself from stressful situations, like all the things that people should potentially do. Go see a counselor on a bi-weekly basis. What does it take to get into good physical shape? Well, I need to cut out processed food. I need to drink more water, drink less soda, right? Eat less meat, eat more vegetables. I need to exercise an hour a day, 6 days a week. Like, right? All of that isn't necessarily fun, but if you can make it your routine, then it doesn't become about it being fun or not fun. It just becomes about being. Like, this is who you are. Like, I love something T. Shane Johnson said when we had him on the show a few weeks back. And I was like, well, T. Shane, like, what part of you do we want to talk about first? Like, you being this Guinness world record holder, you being a Marine, you being a mortgage loan officer, you being a speaker. And he's like, I'm all of that. So like, I'm like, I love that. I'm going to swipe and adapt that. Like, no, like, well, which are you, D? Are you a podcast host? Are you a real estate investor? Are you a mortgage professional? I'm like, all of the above? Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah.
The answer is yes. Well, following a budget and being fiscally responsible and showing a discipline with your finances, it should just become a being. So to answer your question, yeah, it becomes, does it suck? Sure, at first, does it suck? Your friends call you. Oh my God, we just got 2-for-1 cruise. We're going to the Bahamas for the weekend. We got the all-you-can-drink package.
Let's go. Can't do it.
Is it in the budget?
No.
Yeah. You think you gotta say no. But if you can do that, what you can eventually do is I get that credit card paid off, and I didn't add any money to the other credit card, I now freed up $500 a month in my budget. Right? Think about that. Think of my particular. And I wanted to share a story about freezing credit cards. I think it's so cool. And I don't know where I got it from somewhere else. I don't know if I got it from Clark Howard or who I was listening to back in the early 2000s. But to actually freeze the credit cards, right? And the reason why I froze them is because just in case life threw something crazy at us,
you could break it.
I could get out my wife's hair dryer. And I could sit there and melt it. But while I was doing it, hopefully, if it was an irrational purchase,
it would stop.
I would stop doing it, right? If it was an irrational purchase, then like, hey, what are you doing, man? Come on. Quit acting like a crackhead. You're trying to get my next fix.
Yeah.
But they were there like, break this in case of emergency type reasons. And I wanted both because I was pretty confident the company that I balance transferred to, I didn't need their card, but because I still owed them money, I wanted to keep that card. And the card that I liked, because maybe that one either represented my alma mater or that card gave the best rewards, I still wanted that card because eventually my goal is to get to a point in life where I'm so responsible. I'm like John Coleman. I use a credit card, but I follow a budget and I pay it off. Right? My friend in his Discover card, he's extremely fiscally responsible. He uses a credit card, but he still follows a budget. He knows what he is spending his money on. He just wants to get the points and the cash back from Discover. And we were doing the same exact thing. So yes, I said no to going on the cruise, but that's because I had to spend $500 a month to pay off the credit card debt I got myself into. Eventually, that $500 is going to free up. So then I can decide what do I want to do with it.
Go right back into debt. Just kidding.
No, don't want to go but now I want to maybe open up a third savings account that's called vacations, fun money.
There you go.
And that $500 a month that I used to send to the balance transfer credit card company, I've already paid them off.
Right.
By the way, once I paid them off, I did cut up that card. I did call them and say, thanks, suckers, I'm done. You got no interest from me.
But that's a great point now because you got so used to spending the $500 a month that once it was done, you were able to allocate that $500 a month and not miss a beat like it was.
Yeah, and in my preferred world, I'm going to take 250 of it a month and put it into fun. $250 a month, I probably was missing out on retirement savings. I probably at that point in my life didn't have 6 months reserve. Well, now I can do that.
There you go.
Now I can take the $500 a month that I was spending to get that credit card debt paid off from the 2 credit cards that were sitting in my freezer, and that $500 is mine. Now at the end of year 2, because that was year 1, now at the end of year 2, I took that cruise, and now I have $3,000 in a retirement account.
There you go.
And I haven't touched my budget. Now, what happens if maybe I got a raise at work? I got that raise, right? So I got that raise. So now, and that raise might have been an extra $300 a month. So really, I'm $800 a month richer. $500 because I have the credit card paid off, and $300 because of my raise at work. Maybe I can do a cruise. I can do a weekend getaway to New York City because that's one of my favorite places to do a weekend getaway to. And instead of saving $3,000 a year for retirement, it's $5,000.
There you go.
Right? Like that's all you can do. And this is on credit cards, freezing credit cards, getting out of credit card debt. It all stemmed from a listener asking us to comment on what's going on with Wells Fargo. And I honestly hope people got something out of this episode. I feel like we kind of talked in circles.
Sure.
And we touched on current events. We touched on topics that we've discussed multiple times. And I have one last one. One last one, just because you and I did mortgage school today.
Okay.
And mortgage school is something that if you're tuning in for the first time, it's something we do once a week for some of our local mortgage professionals that work here at Waterstone Mortgage with John and I. And it's usually they come in, they have an hour with me and a whiteboard, and they just lob questions at me. And then they're usually questions of, hey, what transpired your week, this week or last week? Like our questions this week were like, hey, how do I know if someone's better FHA or conventional? Right? That was one of them. Or, hey, I keep on having clients that I've pre-approved go and buy new construction, and they end up not using me, and they use the builder's lender because they're getting incentives. Like, how do you overcome that? And then one of them was actually, what do you do when someone doesn't have credit?
Like no credit.
No credit at all. And I thought Credit Christie, and I'll go ahead and share this with the audience in case you haven't watched any of our episodes of Credit Christie, authorized user.
Become an authorized user.
Yes. Have your client who is showing no credit score become an authorized user on someone else's, and at least a credit score will register.
There you go.
So there's a credit tip right there.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
What do you think we're going to come back and do some episodes on coming up? Like, I'm still trying to get an appraiser, which anyone in the mortgage industry, I'm going to tell you this, never, ever, 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 ever has it been this bad in terms of not having enough appraisers to appraise the homes that we need appraised. So bear in mind, it's very difficult for me to find a good local appraiser who's willing to come on the show and let me pick their brain, because right now they've been drinking from a fire hose for the past 12 to 18 months. They're turning away business. They don't want to come on the show. But I that is on the docket because I do have a listener request that I promised that we would get filled by the end of the year.
I think that starts with a processor. I think we're trying to get a processor.
We are really trying to get a processor. Yes, I have the person I want interviewed.
I know.
I really, but you know what? If she says no, maybe Tracy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, I think we could probably get Tracy on board.
Yeah, okay.
And she could make a good show. And she's newer in her career,
Yeah.
right? Ish.
Yeah.
So yeah, processor. And then you had a good one today.
What's that?
Because of mortgage school,
Yeah.
you talked about maybe doing a show, whether it was how a loan officer should call on a home builder,
Mm-hmm.
how a loan officer should prep their clients,
Right.
the difference between new construction and buying resale.
That's huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
How a loan officer needs to understand that in business and in life, sometimes it's not all fair, and you're going to do a bunch of work for someone, and you're going to answer all their questions and get them pre-approved, and they're going to go buy new construction, and the builder's lender is going to offer, or the builder is going to offer some crazy incentive to use their lender.
Can't beat it.
At which point, like I told these people today, I didn't do my sister's loan nor my sister-in-law's loan because they both bought new construction, and the incentive was too great for them to pass up.
Right.
But yeah, maybe that's an episode we can do.
I like it.
And then for anyone tuning in that you made it this far, like we love your suggestions. So reach out to us, whether it's through Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn. Send a comment on YouTube. Let us know what you would like to hear more of, and we'll do our best to put the content out there and fulfill it. I'm hoping once we get the website up and running, that we'll have a section that'll make it easier, because some of your suggestions, they're not quite whole entire episode worthy. Like today, like I don't know if I can do a whole episode on a current event, but maybe we can sit down and chat for 30, 40 minutes about credit in general, share some personal stories, keep it surface level, educational, as well as entertaining. That was the goal today. But if we had a section on the website where maybe you and I could just get behind a camera and just do a quick 5-minute, a quick hit almost. Like we did that episode a couple days ago. I actually loved it. Like I want to do quick hits again. That maybe we just load up 6 or 7 viewer requests that don't match the
criteria for a full episode.
There we go. Yeah, that we can at least do more quick hits, or we could have a section on the website for quick hits.
Say less.
Awesome. Well, hey, he's John Coleman. I'm Dustin Owen. You're tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast. Thank you very much for spending your time with us. We have to go, but we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Deuces.